So good evening, everyone, and a really big welcome to all of you for joining this Radisson Service Apartments pre-launch webinar. My name is Stefan Buerta, and I'm the Director of Rainmaker Marketing. And the objective tonight is to facilitate a discussion prior to the launch of Radisson Service Apartments on Saturday at 9 o'clock. So it's always super exciting launching a product, and as a business, we've been fortunate enough to have launched developments locally, internationally. But it's very unique to see the level of demand that we've had leading into the pre-launch phase. So we've been running the pre-launch campaign for about 7.5 weeks, leading up to Saturday, and the interest has been remarkable. And I think it happens when you have an international brand providing or launching an offering that has never been seen in South Africa before in terms of the concept of the Radisson Service Apartments. And not only a massive thing for KZN, as we know, off the back of Club Med having launched and the whole international appeal around KZN, but also for South Africa. And tonight we've got a really key team here. We've got the development team, we've got the team behind Radisson, we've got a team who's put the whole project together, and then the sales team itself. And we want you guys to be able to ask any questions you have. We want to answer them, and we want to give you behind the scenes insight into what makes this product unique, so that if you are looking to purchase on Saturday at 9 o'clock, you know what you need to do to be able to get in first. We are only launching 40 apartments. We've had over 3,500 people who've inquired to date, which is quite remarkable in itself. And to give you the insight, to give you the tools, and then to be able to make sure that you can make an informed decision coming on Saturday. So I think it's for us as a business. I mean, we followed trends internationally, and there really has been this rise in service apartments internationally in terms of how it has driven the property market for people to benefit from the hospitality sector and high demand areas, and what it's achieved in terms of exponentially higher returns and yields and desirability. And we really want to go into that. So in a nutshell, on Saturday, we're launching 40 units, only 40 as part of the first phase, which is a combination of studio and one beds, which a team will go through. They're from 1.75 million, which I think everyone has seen in the correspondence. Everyone here is here for a reason. Fully furnished units. We've spoken quite a lot about the returns in terms of projection over 5 years, and we were able to go into a bit more detail around that. And then tonight, we just want to keep this to a 45-minute to an hour session. We know everyone's time is super valuable, but really encourage you to place your questions in the chat, and I will facilitate with the team and try and get those answered as best we can and try and get through as many as we possibly can. So just, I think, by way of introduction, the team, I won't get everyone to introduce themselves, but just so you have context, and I'm just looking at the screen from my top left. So Chris Horn is Director of Avoca Developments, who I didn't know
Why you smile when you say that?
I didn't know you own the jacket. So I'm very impressed at how you geared up for this one. And I think Andrew can Chris can talk about Avoca and their relationship and how this marriage with Radisson came about. Andrew McLachlan is the founder of Develop Hotels Incorporated, who I guess arguably has probably the biggest or most intense hospitality experience in the country. I know, having worked for Radisson for over 20 years, I believe, and having worked with all the top hospitality brands, both locally and internationally. Then awesome to have Daniel Trappler, who's the Radisson Hotel Group global representative, to really be able to talk around the Radisson vision, why they've specifically chosen Umhlanga, and what their growth prospects are, and obviously what their vision is going forward. And then Stuart Ferguson, who's the head of sales for Rainmaker Marketing. So, gents, good to have you here, and I look forward to chatting.
Likewise. Thanks, Steph.
Excellent.
So, Andrew, I mean, obviously spoke about your experience in the sector, and I think I just want to kick off with you just to provide a little bit of a macro framework. So, we've spoken about the trend of service apartments and how significantly it's grown around the world. We're seeing the trend coming into South Africa, and obviously, like we said, what this means for a brand like Radisson coming into providing this opportunity. But I think just to maybe unpack it a little bit and just explain why it is such a high demand asset class at the moment?
Sure. Thanks very much, and good evening. So over the last sort of 10, 15 years, this asset class within the sort of the hotel sector has really sort of been formed. So you end up having sort of three segments now. You have a traditional hotel, you have sort of service departments, and you have branded residences, and they all sort of live within a sort of a similar sort of space, but they operate very, very differently. And starting with branded residences, which this isn't. Branded residence tells you exactly what it is. It's your permanent residence, so it's linked to a brand. It's traditionally sort of started off with hotel brands being associated with branded residence, and you would buy into it, and you'd physically live in a residence under a hotel name. That's now sort of really sort of grown significantly, and there's all sorts of lifestyle brands which have associated themselves with branded residences. You've got football teams, so you've got Chelsea residence opening in Dubai. You've got car manufacturers, you've got luxury fashion brands linked to it, and that's really the branded residence space. Then you have service departments, which initially was sort of developed in two aspects. One, for the return on investment for the actual investor or the hotel owner, and this is purely the building is a lot more efficient. You've got much more area, which is sellable space versus back of house. So from your top line to your bottom line, the flow through of profitability was really significant. And it initially started off as sort of niche brands. So it was dedicated service department brands, and they all played in a segment where they either called themselves an apart hotel, an extended stay product, a longer stay, or service departments. But they all had the word apartment in them because, in essence, you're providing something a little bit bigger and better than a hotel room. And what's happened today, though, is sort of globally, there's over sort of 60 global hotel groups which have got service department brands within that space. So it started off as a niche product, and very, very quickly, globally, all the top global brands like the Radisson Hotel Group all moved into these sort of service department sort of space. It's also been a product that's outpaced traditional hotel development. So if you look globally across the world, the service department sector has actually grown at double the pace to traditional hotels. And it's purely because you're able to sort of morph from being a business hotel to a leisure hotel to sort of a leisure hotel product. You're providing the best of both worlds. You're actually providing a home away from home within your actual accommodation that you're actually staying in, but you're still tapping into the hotel facilities below that. So you've got a great reception, you've got a restaurant, you might have a bar, you've got a rooftop, you've got hotel facilities plus a service apartment product. So it really has been the blend of both products, but primarily it's about profitability. It's about driving from top line to bottom line. The GOP percentages are better, and the flow through of profitability is better. And that's where developers and owners sort of pivoted towards that because of that, and it gives you the flexibility that you can move from being a business hotel to a leisure hotel quite quickly. And as I say, it's a product that's come to the South African market, and there's a lot of guys that are trying to do it. Very few developers have decided to actually align themselves with a global hotel brand. They're trying to do it on their own, and they're trying to do it independently. And there's going to be some blood in the water with a lot of the guys that don't really understand that this is still a hospitality product. It's a real estate product, but it's a hospitality product, and you need to align with professionals. And Radisson was one of the hotel groups which didn't decide to launch a brand. Well, I'll let Daniel talk more about Radisson than me, but they are one of the guys that have recognized this segment within the hospitality space, and they've got dedicated products to service that segment.
And I think, I mean, Dana, I mean, we're going to bring you in a second when we talk about the Radisson machine as a whole. But I think just for someone who's logging in here, and I know we've already got, I mean, a significant amount of people online, and really hope that we can get a lot of questions. I know there are questions already, so just keep asking them and we'll get through them. But it is really interesting because, like I mentioned, we've seen the branded residence trend, which we've seen in Miami and Dubai and so forth. We've seen the apart hotel trend, where guys are trying to do the apart hotel model without necessarily the backbone or the engine behind a reputable brand that has the booking engine and has everything that comes with it. But I think
and they also, sorry, and what they're also doing is they they're blending products. They're trying to be permanent residences and apart hotels all on the same floor. And when these products open as either a short stay or a medium stay apart hotel guest or a permanent residence, you're now sharing the same floor, and there's a conflict of relationship.
Yeah, no, and exactly. And then I think also the demand for investors to realize that the yield that can be achieved through a well-managed short-term rental solution, if you can call it that, and how that exceeds in many cases the traditional model of long stay, but also the ability to go into a bricks and mortar investment, like you mentioned, that ticks the asset class from a property perspective, but benefiting from the hassle-free approach of having everything taken care of. And I think that's a huge thing. We'll talk about it a little bit later, but your responsibility is your rates. Everything else gets taken care of for you, and that comes into your distributions, which we can talk about. And Daniel, I mean, obviously, really awesome to have you here, and I just think it shows the confidence of Radisson and the backing of Radisson behind the product. But I mean, obviously, from a growth perspective, I know that I know you've reached 100 hotels either in operation or under development within Africa, which talks to a massive growth trajectory with Africa. But I think the key question is number one, what does that look like going forward for you guys? But number two, how does Radisson Service Apartments from Umhlanga tie into your growth vision within Africa? And obviously you've selected it for a reason, and you've sort of seen Umhlanga as a key destination to achieve that objective.
Yeah. No, thanks very much, Steph. Thanks for having me this evening. I head up business development for Radisson Hotel Group for Southern and Eastern Africa. Globally, we have about 1,600 hotels, 1,600 hotels, and of those, 100 of them, as you said, are in Africa, with about 70 open and 30 under construction. We focus on four main areas in Africa, given the big economies in the region, of which South Africa is obviously one. And in terms of serviced apartments, we've seen, even when we're looking at developing normal hotels, we're advising owners to include a certain percentage of serviced apartments into a traditional hotel development itself, to de-risk the development and to capture that long stay demand. So in this case, we've targeted Umhlanga as one of the hottest markets on the continent. It kind of goes hand in hand with the strength in the market you're seeing in Victoria Falls and in Zanzibar and in Casablanca. Umhlanga is really hot because of its diversified and demand base. So Africa is exciting because of the combination of growing business travel, and our aim is to get to about 125, 130 hotels over the next 6 years, both open and under development. There's a huge amount of improving infrastructure and increasing investor interest in internationally branded products. We've built one of the largest and most diverse hotel portfolios on the continent, in the sense that we are represented in more African countries than any other hotel operator, whether it be an international operator or regional or local, which shows not only our ability to operate in many different places, but also to develop in many different economies. So in South Africa is one of the easier markets in Africa to develop in. We have some trickier places. And we've been around in South Africa for quite a long time. I think we opened our first hotel here in 2000 with the Radisson Blue Waterfront, which is now the Radisson Collection in Cape Town. And we're well represented. We've got Cape Town, we've got Durban. I mean, even just to note, our Radisson Blue Umhlanga down in Umhlanga Rocks, which opened 4 years ago in June 2022. We wish we had more keys there. We wish we had more serviced apartments there. I mean, last year we closed on about 84% occupancy with an ADR north of 3,000 Rand. So we're very excited about moving up onto the ridge with a slightly different product and just having more rooms in the node of Umhlanga itself.
So Stefan, just to add to that, so I think what Daniel said, so they've been operating in South Africa for a quarter of a century. And so it's a nice way to put it. When you say a quarter of a century, that means they've cut their teeth. They understand how the market works. But Radisson's first entry into South Africa was a sectional title hotel. So a sectional title, they've understood how to operate in South Africa for a quarter of a century. I don't think there's too many other guys that can have that sort of sort of education and understanding of and sort of credos of how to actually operate something like this.
Yeah, and I mean, Chris, I'm going to bring you in a second just when you talk about the specifications of Radisson, and I mean, we've seen it from a marketing perspective in terms of the processes and so forth, and obviously it really keeps the developer on its toes. But Andrew, I think just to touch off in terms of what Daniel was saying, why is it? I mean, we obviously know Umhlanga. We know Umhlanga has historically been this local holiday destination. I was reading an article the other day about Sol Kersner and how his journey actually started at the Beverly Hills and from there. But we know KZN's been through his challenges we've all spoken about, and now all of a sudden you've got Club Med and you've got these international airlines coming in, and there's just this boom happening. What is it that drives this massive occupation demand that we're seeing, exactly like what Daniel was saying, where the occupancies are what they are, which sort of may defy what a lot of people actually understand.
So I think the beauty of both Cape Town and Durban both have the ability to trade 7 days a week, 365 days of the year, so that they're able to move from business to leisure. And when there's other markets which have a slowdown over school holidays and long weekends, they actually spike, and because they're able to move from business to leisure. And Umhlanga is the business headquarters of KZN. So from a business node, it's where you want to be, and it's always been a great leisure destination. And sort of when South Africa, like the rest of the world, was coming out of COVID, Umhlanga was actually the fastest growing and the biggest recovery. It actually bounced back faster than anybody else in the country. And I think what's happened from a leisure point of view is Cape Town's moving into a different phase of itself as a city, and in essence is moving into a much higher sort of price bracket, and in some ways outpricing itself to some of the sort of domestic market where Umhlanga isn't. And it's got the ability to attract domestic leisure, domestic business, and domestic leisure business. And with the arrival of Club Med from an international leisure point of view is probably one of the strongest brands in the world, and the fact that they've got the confidence to come into KZN, and the reason they've chosen KZN and it's not too far away from Umhlanga is because you've got 365 days of great weather. You're a summer holiday destination throughout the time, and that's sense of confidence or point of confidence is going to drive additional international leisure travelers coming into the market. And the beauty with leisure is people are choosing their own budget. So a leisure traveler is somebody who actually pays more and is prepared to spend more because it's his own budget. He's not sitting with a corporate account where he's being dictated to by a corporate travel agent where they actually have to stay. I think the beauty with Radisson here is that because they've got a national footprint, they are able to still play in that strong sort of corporate market. So they are able to have corporate agreements. So they are going to be very, very competitive in the Umhlanga market. And it sounds by the occupancies that Daniel mentioned that they've got a strong foothold, and they've been able to do a balance to move 7 days a week from business to leisure quite successfully.
Yeah. And I mean, if we spoke about the Club Med thing, I remember one of the key criteria was proximity to the airport and obviously proximity to the beach. And I would assume those criteria come in very strongly in terms of this product, where we are 10 minutes from the international airport and very close to the beach. I would assume, Daniel, that becomes a key criteria.
Yes, and absolutely. And we have a product in Cape Town called the Radisson Hotel Cape Town, Radisson Hotel Foreshore in Cape Town. It used to be a Park Inn by Radisson, but about 3 years ago we upgraded it to our Radisson brand, which is the same as the brand in question here. That hotel has 120 keys, but we were seeing so much demand for longer stay that the owner and Radisson Hotel Group, we decided to convert 2 levels of parking into Radisson serviced apartments. So on top of that 120 key hotel that's been there for quite a long time, we have 12 to 14 additional Radisson serviced apartments, which are identical to the product being developed here by Andrew and Chris and his team. And I'm just saying that because it's the same kind of distance to the beach, it's the same type of distance to the airport, and it's really where we are seeing guest demand coming from.
Yeah.
Guests can check in for 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, but they check out. They have the opportunity to cook or not. They have the security, the brand standards, a little bit more room space. No.
I think the reality, I'm going to jump in here, is that we're in a proper, mature, mixed-use area, our location of our, and there's retail, there's office, there's medical, there's industrial, there's the harbour, there's the airport, and it's important to understand the implications of that. So we are chasing predominantly extended stay people, and all those industries have spin-offs of people staying for extended periods.
No, Chris, I was going to jump on exactly that same location. So if I take, I'm currently in Paris, staying in a service department product.
I'm sorry. Sorry about that.
I know it's tough. I've specifically chosen not to be directly on the beach, but rather be in the town where the action is in the evening. So you can go to the beach during the day, but in the evening you want to be able to walk to restaurants, you want to walk to your entertainment, and that's exactly what the Radisson Service Departments in Umhlanga does. So it's not on the beach, but during the day when you're on holiday, you're gonna have different leisure activities you're going to do during the day, but in the evening you either want to be able to dine in the mixed-use development that Chris is developing, or be able to walk to a number of different restaurants, to movies, to other forms of entertainment, and it gives the best of that, and it's easy access onto any of the national roads to go wherever you want to go during the day. So,
yeah. Chris, and then sorry, just from a question perspective, Stephen, I know you've got your hand up. I will get to your question in a second, as well as all the other questions that are being posed. Chris, I mean, just to bring you in, I mean, obviously we always say, I mean, in this case, the operator and the brand is a huge thing, but the jockey in terms of the team putting the project together, not only the developer, but the professional team behind it, it's a key consideration. We always say you need to look at that. Maybe just to touch on from Avoca in terms of the projects you've done, but also just, I think, the relationship with Radisson. I think it's quite a key thing in terms of how prescriptive Radisson are about what needs to be done, how it's configured, architecture, interiors, and stuff like that, and maybe just to talk to that process a bit.
I think that you need to understand. So Avoca has been doing this mixed-use development 16 years, 3 billion across the country, mixed-use developments, predominantly residential. And as any developer, we look, where's the next opportunity? Where's the next low-hanging fruit? At the tail end of our last development, we realized that this short-term Airbnb market was going through the roof, and we said, where's an opportunity? So we identified the site. We approached Andrew McLachlan, Andrew's on the panel, is a very well-known consultant in this area, was coincidentally with Radisson for 20 years. He approached 3 or 4 of the international brands, and we settled on Radisson. The reason being that is the incredible success of the Radisson Blue in Umhlanga, the name recognition of Radisson, and the fact that this is the first of its kind in the country. That's not something to be sneezed at. This is the first of probably many, probably a few, and we're getting in at ground level. So in that process, it's taken us a year to bed it down. Just understand that from a development perspective, they give us the prescription. They prescribe the front of house, the back of house, the furniture and fittings. Everything gets signed off by Radisson. It's not a question of us going and doing our own thing and then putting a Radisson tag in it. This is a Radisson service department equivalent of a 4-star product in a great location. I think that's important to understand. Not a question of us just providing our own specifications. They specify what we need to put in. They give us our professional team. They give us overwatching brief of all our professionals. And ultimately, we're providing a Radisson product to the market.
I'm going to ask you a question because I think it is probably very relevant. So, Shelton and Law were asking, if you purchase the apartment, do you eventually own it? I think maybe just to give clarity around the actual ownership around this in terms of being sectional title investment like any other product.
So this is a residential unit used in a commercial basis. You own a sectional title product, you own the unit from day one. You put it into a rental pool, which Radisson manage. They aggregate the income, they aggregate the expenses, and at the end of every month, you get the net income distributed to you, probably 30 days later in terms of realistic timeframes. So you own it from day one.
Chris, if I could just add to that, typically the banks have not been willing to sort of finance these types of operations in terms of condo hotels and that. But I mean, we've had a very, very good response from the local credit committees in respect of actually financing these sectional title units that will be, sent into a rental pool agreement. So I think that in itself is a major indication in terms of how the banks themselves are sort of re-looking at this model in specifically KZN and the Umhlanga Rocks and you guys as operators.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think it goes to quite a lot of the questions that have been asked around capital growth and the ability to resell. And Chris, you can add to it, and Stuart, you can add to it, but capital appreciation applies to high demand products that are yielding well, that are right location, and right demand. And I think in this particular instance, where we've seen, especially the first 40 in the first phase, where the demand is so high, obviously, naturally, as you go through the process of launching in different phases, as we will be doing, there are naturally going to be price escalations, which initial early buyers benefit from. But of course, capital appreciation will apply, and that benefit will apply to anyone who's purchasing into a Radisson service apartment. And exactly as we're seeing in terms of the growth, both for the province, but also this type of asset class around the world, are we seeing significantly higher returns, significantly higher capital appreciation, and significantly higher rate of sale, which is it's a trend throughout.
Well, there's a genuine rush to value. So what is rush to value? You've got Radisson international brand for 75 years, 1,600 units across the globe in 200 countries. That's a proper brand. So I would argue it's a dual use asset, because of course you hand over the management to Radisson, but you've got 30 days owner's use. So you can use it, where in a normal investment, you generally don't get to use yours or similar asset. Then you have 20 million people that are on this Radisson branded
Radisson Rewards.
Radisson Rewards. 20 million people program, who you are now accessing, you're getting bookings from, etc. So it's a proper brand. It's not just, our journey started when we started looking at the Airbnb. We coincidentally started developing for one of the local brands down in the village, and we realized, hang on, we need an international brand in this market, and Radisson is that brand, 100%.
And I think Daniel,
Stefan, I think just to add to what that sort of first question, so there's obviously there's going to be capital growth as the units are launched and sold, but as a buyer who holds onto a unit which he physically owns and he wants to exit in 5-6 years from now, there'll be capital growth as well. If this product performs and the market continues to grow the way it's going to grow, you're going to have capital growth on besides. So it behaves like a residential property with that's in the right area with capital growth, but you've got a much stronger rental return than you would have if you were just doing it as an independent.
Yeah. Daniel, I just want to quickly, you touched on it, but the Radisson Rewards VIP status that you get as a buyer. It's probably something we haven't really elaborated on much in the campaign. Maybe just to touch on it, because I think it's a huge benefit that guys don't necessarily know about.
Yeah, so Radisson Rewards is our loyalty program. All the different hotel operators and most different types of brands, regardless of the product, have got a loyalty program. Our loyalty program is called Radisson Rewards, and as Chris said, it has about 20 million members. But actually, when we were bought out by Jingjiang International in 2019, that number jumped to 150 million loyalty members in terms of Radisson Rewards. So a loyalty card, if someone's a member of Radisson Rewards, it means they keep coming back to use the Radisson product, to swipe their card, to accumulate points in order to obtain benefits the next time they stay at a Radisson product, whether it's in Europe, Southeast Asia, Pacific, Middle East, Cape Town, Africa, wherever. And then within the Radisson Rewards program, we have different tiers, and a guest will be elevated to a higher tier the more they swipe their card at a Radisson product. It's like having a Clicks card. That type of card. I don't know if Clicks have different tiers though. But Radisson has different tiers.
Not a great example.
I was about to say, let's talk credit cards.
Not the best example. But anyway, the top one, what we've done with Avoca here is we've said, let's look at our highest level of Radisson Rewards, which is called Radisson Rewards VIP status. And we've thrown that into the deal with Chris's team to help investors enjoy the product. And it's really one of the most compelling lifestyle benefits available to investors. So upon purchase, owners will receive VIP status within the Radisson Rewards program, giving them access to enhanced benefits across Radisson Hotel Group hotels anywhere in the world, our 1,600 hotels. The benefits include room upgrades, preferential rates, priority recognition, elevated travel experience whenever they stay at participating hotels globally. And what makes it unique is that ownership delivers. So what makes it unique in this situation for an investor is that ownership of a Radisson service department within the Umhlanga development, it delivers value beyond the investment itself. So and owners are not only acquiring a hospitality-backed real estate assets, but they're also becoming part of a global hospitality ecosystem with access to benefits across hundreds of hotels in all of the regions that I've mentioned. So it's a tangible extension of the Radisson brand that owners can enjoy personally whenever they travel. So you're getting the benefit of the returns monthly or quarterly from just owning the Radisson Service Department unit in Umhlanga, but you can use the card whenever you want because you're an owner. And what's special about this is usually there's only one owner of a hotel. Usually you have one high net worth individual, and he or she owns Radisson Red Rose Bank in Johannesburg, and that owner, who could be the CEO of a real estate fund, maybe one or two of his directors, have the ownership card, and they're special. They have the special privilege of traveling around the world and getting treated with special rates or room upgrades or whatever it is globally. But in this case, we've thrown into the deal that an owner of each individual unit at Radisson Service Departments in Umhlanga has that privilege, and that's something that's quite valuable.
Absolutely.
That's brilliant.
No, yeah. It's a really, really awesome benefit. I mean, there's so many things to try and cover, and maybe not something we've spoken about enough, but someone who travels and someone who sees a benefit, huge elements.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm going to quick fire some questions because we've actually got a lot to get through. But I think the first one is the usage. So how, and it's a question from Lesejo, and I know there are a couple of others who've asked that question. Petunia, etc. How does the 30 days personal use work in practice, and how do the rates apply if you are utilizing the unit over that period?
I can talk to that. So 30 days, you can stay, your family can stay. It's literally your discretion to whoever uses your 30 days. You pay a nominal cleaning fee for the day, and that's at 30 days a year. You can't roll over at 30 days per annum. That's the way we structured it. I also want to just chat about something else we haven't touched on, Steph. The ease of purchasing the unit. Remember, you're buying from a developer, so there's no transfer duty. We've also included, and we've been a bit remiss in this on marketing, no transfer costs are included. So you don't pay transfer costs. If you happen to be raising a bond, you pay bond costs, but there's no transfer duty, no transfer costs. And I think that's a nice ease of entry into the product from a buyer's perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's pretty key, and I think I think in terms of
so Stefan, I imagine so Daniel could probably jump in. So the owner who gets his 30-day usage, in the rentable rules, there will obviously be a clear booking procedure, sort of as to how many to give the hotel notice as to when you want to book, and you don't need to take all your 30 days in one go. You might want to take a week in quarter one, 2 weeks in quarter two, nothing in quarter three, and you play it by ear. But it'll also be a sort of use it or lose it sort of scenario, I imagine, Chris. So you also can't roll it. You're not going to be able to roll over either. So if you only use 20 days in your first year, you don't carry 10 days over into the next year. So each year it's at a cap of 30 days. But you can choose how many days and you want to use them in one go.
Correct.
Andrew, if I could just clarify, in terms of the rental pool agreement, the owner would need to notify the hotel 21 days prior to usage. And then obviously the 30 days does not roll over. So you've got to use it in an annual year.
Yeah, and also an owner doesn't have to worry that their exact unit that they own on a sectional title basis is available or not. If it's not available, you get an identical unit elsewhere in the property.
Correct.
And I think it's such an important point. You got to see this as investing into hospitality element. You're not going to put your own your your own stuff in your unit. You're buying a fully furnished unit that is according to Radisson spec. So it's the usage, not as opposed to staying specifically in your unit, which I think is the question that was asked earlier. How do you know about whether units are unblocked or so forth? Which was anonymous, but exactly, I think that sort of answers that question. And then, guys, grouping a few questions here in terms of, and Andrew, maybe this is for you, is from Nati. Is the income aggregated amongst all units? And do you get equal portions across it? If you can maybe just explain that. And then also, I think another question was, I think it came from Kyle, in terms of what you're getting dispersed, in terms of when we're referring to net returns, is that net of things like levies, management fees, etc., etc.?
Correct. So if you imagine a profit and loss statement, we can have all revenue coming in, less all operating expenses, and then less your management fees and your levies, and whatever the net operating income is, it's going to be shared according to a PQ allowance, which is basically the square meters that you own. So it's an exceptionally fair structure. So it's not about unit A was used for 20% of the month and unit B was used for 80% of the month. So he's getting a bigger share of the revenue. Everything's pulled together, and it's all revenue in, less all expenses, less fees and levies and whatever the profit is at the end of that. It's shared according to your ownership PQ allowance. That's correct.
The only anomaly to that is our parking. Obviously, parking constitutes a portion of the income generation of the hotel, and we've assigned a PQ to the parking base. So you do get revenue on your parking.
Correct.
Okay.
Stuart, I'm going to bring you in a sec. I just want to clear all the questions around the 30-day usage. There's plenty of it. I think one of the questions from Dash, sorry if this is obvious, but if I tend buying an investment company, will the rewards be enabled appropriately for me as an individual? Which, Chris, to your point, it's allocated to the purchaser regardless of what entity it is, and they can disperse it accordingly, like you said, to family and colleagues and whatever else.
Correct.
I just think just practically, and Dan, you must jump in there. So if it's going to a company, there's still going to have to be a name of a person. So when you arriving and checking in, you're going to say Mr. Smith, and you're going to be asked, like you do when you check into a hotel, you're going to be asked for some sort of identification that you actually are Mr. Smith. So it can't be Investments Pty Limited, and you don't know who the face behind that is. So
yes. Because also, of course, the Radisson Rewards VIP loyalty card is also attached to a person.
Yeah.
So even though it's purchased through a company, that company has a set of that company will have directors with names, and the card will flow through from that point of view, I would imagine.
100%.
Yeah. Stuart, I mean, normally we talk about the product first, but I think there's so much questions. Firstly, what's the demand been like between and what are we looking at going into launch on Saturday?
So, Steph, I mean,
better than the Sharks rugby game.
Yeah.
Oh, God, stop it. Go back to the beach.
Yeah, but in Cape Town, you can't take them anywhere. Hey,
you brought your Cape Town weather to Durban while you're in Paris. It's not fair.
I'll tell you what, Steph, the demand has just been absolutely exceptional. I mean, we're almost running like a sweatshop here in terms of our agents calling people and setting up appointments and getting them more information. So at this stage, I mean, we've got 40 units that we've got lined up for the launch on Saturday. We've got a trend of people that are looking at buying multiple units, which is like really encouraging. And I think that just the product has just resonated with investors that are looking for an investment in a different asset class like hospitality. So yeah, the demand has just been absolutely exceptional. One of the more exciting projects that I've been sort of aligned to for a while. So, I mean, we are absolutely swamped. So, for those people that are listening that have been in contact with our agents, I just think that you should be prioritizing making sure that you're available on Saturday morning when we launch.
Yeah, and I think just to echo that, and we'll go through the launch process in a
That
sec.
launches online, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll actually go through the platform just to make sure everyone's clear. I know there was a question, can't remember, apologies, I can't remember the name of the person just asking, will there be a webinar like this on launch day itself? No, the platform will be live and we'll go through exactly how you can be online in advance. It will be first come, first serve, fastest fingers first. But we hope that by engaging with the sales team between now and then, you will be able to understand exactly what the units are that you're looking for. Again, the beauty about this is the units are based on yield. So it's not, it's just, I think within a certain price bracket, there's some really good options. To understand how to go about that, to be able to ask all the different questions and then be ready come Saturday to be able to capitalize.
Right. Steph, if I could just elaborate, we obviously have a number of people that are looking at multiple units. So between myself and Chris, we've made ourselves available for one-on-ones for those that want to really unpack the P&Ls and things like that. So we're available right up until Saturday morning before launch to sort of do a personalized deep dive in terms of any additional questions that they may have.
Next 2 days, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think just in terms of Kamesh's Kalpi's question, what's the reason for selling these units? And the reason is that it's a property investment backed by hospitality play. It is off plan. And Chris, you can talk about the construction period, which is 2 years from commencement, which I know is a question asked by Stephen earlier. And that's the benefit for people investing now is you get the benefit to lock in a price now that will escalate in general terms quite significantly during the process of completion between now and 2.5 years time. And Chris, maybe just to touch on construction period.
Construction period is realistically 18 months. I call it 2 years, just to be fair. As soon as possible. Literally, we're going to see what the uptake is, see what our financiers say, and we're hoping to be in the ground late this year or early next year.
Yeah, and then Stuart, maybe just talk about the purchasing options. I know Louis Groenewald asked a question about phase 1 being 40 and then what happens thereafter in terms of the balance of the service apartment units. If you maybe just touch on that and also just in terms of what the unit options are on Saturday and what the price is of each unit type.
Yep. So we're launching with 40 units, and that's a combination of studios and one beds. Thereafterwards, we are going to launch in tranches probably of 20 units at a time. And then obviously there'll be a slight price escalation. Yeah, I mean, so yeah.
I think also let's talk to the overall product mix. So there's 183 keys, of which 165 are standard studios and ones. And we've got 18 executive suites on the 6th floor, which is on the pool floor, pool restaurant floor, on which 5 are going to be double volume loft apartments, which will come with 2 parking bays each. So those are executive suites, executive penthouse suites as well, of which there'll be 18.
And Chris, maybe let's talk about the facilities. I mean, obviously the rooftop's a huge thing. It's pretty iconic for Umhlanga, but maybe just the other facets around the product.
So, I mean, the rooftop is we've been desperate to do a proper rooftop, of which there isn't, with the greatest respect to our big brother in the village. We think we're going to outdo them. We've got 2,000 square meter facility up there, 25-meter pool, gym, yoga area, landscape gardens, and rooftop restaurant, which obviously will be open to the public. Then on the facility downstairs, we have the dining area for the guests, and obviously the rooftop if they want to. We've got conference facilities, and we've got parking. The balance of the development is obviously going to be retail. There are 3,000 squares of retail, restaurants, offices, and then 98 long-term units. So In totality, there's over 281 apartments, 3,000 squares of commercial space, restaurants and offices, and 371 parking bays. So it's a proper development.
So I think just to make it quite clear there, so you've got 183 Radisson serviced apartments, and the other apartments are permanent residences. So that's not a short-term letting product. That's a long. And I think what's quite exciting. So in my 30-odd years of doing hotel development, the one thing that initially so when you're staying in a hotel product, you want to hang around, you want to meet them, you want to plug into the neighborhood. And the one thing that puts a hotel into a neighborhood and makes locals attracted to a hotel is not the restaurant, it's the rooftop activation. Every rooftop that has a great rooftop activation that is programmed correctly for different nights of the week, with different things happening, it immediately becomes the sort of talking point of the town. And we're obviously quite confident with the extent of the rooftop that Chris and his team have sort of planned, that this is going to be a significant rooftop activation that hasn't been seen in KZN before. And it'll be something that, as an in-house guest, you're going to be hanging out with the cool local Durbanites, that everybody's gravitating to this rooftop, which, as I say, will have different activations at different times of the day, starting off with yoga in the morning, exercise, but moving into something which is eating and drinking, lunchtime dinner, and having a bit of fun.
Correct.
Yeah, and I think it goes without saying in terms of backgrounds. I know I'm sitting in a studio. I think Stuart's in a one bed. Daniel's looking back onto that rooftop area. Andrew obviously from the external of the building, and Chris from the top. So it just gives you, and I think Chris is normal blocking the good stuff there, but you can see from an aerial perspective what's going on there. And I think it is. I think EPA, the architectural team, have done an exceptional job, and obviously working very, very closely with Radisson, and even down to the detail around the finishes. We've seen it from a marketing perspective. It is such a thing in terms of what you're seeing in the renders is what you're going to get down to everything, and it's a huge thing. So just a couple of things, questions. Razi, Adam, 2 years of construction, and when does one get their first ROI? Just a reminder for everyone, which is quite important with the off-plan purchasing process. So what will happen, and it talks to Nati's question also about it being is it like an auction? No, it's not an auction. It's just that on the platform, which I'm going to show you in a second, very, very easy to navigate. You will be able to see what units are available. Come 9 o'clock, you have the ability to reserve a unit, which wouldn't have been available. So everyone has equal access. The pricing is fixed, exactly as Stuart had said. You will pay a 10,000 Rand reservation fee, which will be done online, and that will lock in your purchase. You will then be sent your contract of sale, and then you will be requested to pay your 10% deposit. You will then go to the bank for financing. And as Stuart said, the various...
Steph, not 10%, 50,000.
Oh, sorry,
so another
50,000. Yeah, sorry, correct.
Don't require 10%.
And then the balance of your purchase price would be secured by your bond. So to the question of Razia is that obviously your bond repayments will only start being serviced when you transfer of your unit in 2 years' time, and then obviously is when the returns will be payable. And I think there were questions around maintenance costs and all that kind of stuff. And Andrew and Chris, I'm correct that all gets taken care of as part of your managed solution, and then it gets deducted before your dividends get paid.
As part of the operating cost.
Yeah. Yes, that's correct. Yeah, and I think Stephen, it doesn't have to be a financed option. So you're going to be putting your 50,000 deposit down, and not everybody needs to automatically have to finance the product.
Yes. Andrew, if I could come in there, I just wanted to highlight that if we have purchasers that are willing to pay a deposit of 30%, then we don't need any additional bank finance or guarantees until 90 days prior to completion. So it has been popular in other developments. So if you've got the ability to pay down 30% and put it into the attorney's trust account, then we would only call for the balance 90 days prior to completion.
Right.
Yeah, correct. And I think, exactly. I think you've answered one of Razia's other questions. I think as a Zipo, I think in terms of how the dividends are structured, I think we've spoken about that. So I think from a cash payments, return on investment, I think hopefully we've covered most of those of those questions. Construction period. What I do want to go through is I do want to go through the actual purchase process, which I'm going to pull up in a second. And again, I think it's important to note, obviously 40 units does seem like quite a small amount based on demand. That's why I highly, highly recommend. Naturally, as developments go, that as you release every phase, there is an escalation in pricing, as I mentioned earlier. So to get in early, the benefits are exponential in terms of the run. So I highly, highly, highly recommend that you are chatting to the team and really, really have a firm handle on the product prior to Saturday itself. And I'll get through any last questions in a sec, but just want to try and share my screen if you guys don't mind.
As you're sharing your screen, also we do have retail space available. So we are selling off the retail. So we do already have a number of inquiries for the retail. So if you are remotely interested in purchasing some retail, please also reach out to us.
Yeah, 100%. So I don't know if you guys can see my screen.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Can you guys see my screen now? No.
No.
Okay, sorry, just be with me for a sec here.
Come, Stefan.
Sorry.
Chris,
Okay.
maybe
Can you guys see my screen? Can you guys see my screen now?
no.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yes, we are. It's
Yes, we
Okay,
can.
cool. Okay, cool. So guys, just want to quickly go through the process. So many of you would have come through the site in terms of the Radisson Service Apartments website, and for those of you who haven't already, ability to peruse and go through all the different options, see the different unit types, and obviously the different renders that we have spoken about, and just all the points that we've spoken about, the greater precinct that you're falling part of, which is a managed precinct, which has huge value in itself. But then I think the biggest thing is then going into the platform for launch. So this is what we call markets, and this is where everything will happen on launch day. So I think just to give you an indication, you obviously have the ability to navigate up and down the different floors. You have the ability to enlarge this so you can see where the product is, which is basically the view that we had from Chris in terms of how you can see this natural almost boulevard that runs down. And it is a huge thing about KZN. Many will know the legacy that was created by Tonga, Hewlett and Kroons of creating managed precincts that have their own management associations. You can see the quality of the roads. You can see the quality of everything that comes with it, which is a huge component that goes with it. And then what will happen is you have the ability to view in terms of price list format, where you can see all the 40 units that are available for sale, broken down by studio or one beds. You can view it in floor plan view, where you can see the live floor plate specific to it, or in a unit card format. So I would recommend that for you to work out what is the option that you are looking for. If you are looking for a studio, which is basically between 1.75 and 2.1, it naturally narrows down the different options. And then to be able to navigate through that in terms of what you are looking for. You also have the ability to download the brochure and narrow down your price options. So in chatting to the sales team or navigating for yourself, we've got views allocated to different units. And on launch day, if you have narrowed down your options that you are looking for, you can obviously see where views are orientated, which views are in different things. You can go through every single different unit type. You can also have the ability to see similar units to your unit in terms of price points and in terms of location. You can see the information specific to that. And I think a really, really important question that was asked in some of the elements was contract of sale. Of course, we will circulate the contract of sale as part of our pack prior to launch itself, so you have the ability to peruse it. There's also an investment document with the sales team can share with you in terms of a breakdown of the occupancies and the projected occupancies going forward. Obviously, those are projections, but they are based on pretty conservative views. I think the occupancy in year one is about 55% or so forth, based on pretty conservative and done on a 5 and a 10-year forecast, which a sales team will be able to share with you. You can go into invest information as we spoke about. You can obviously see from a location perspective. But then the biggest thing is you can also have the ability to be able to download your unit card which would look something like this in terms of the information specific to that particular unit, in terms of being able to see the render, where that unit is positioned, the floor plan itself. And then obviously being able to navigate within each unit in terms of the floor plans, the renders, etc., etc. And then what will happen, guys, is at 9 o'clock on Saturday, this button here will automatically go live. So what I highly, highly recommend is that in the process that you are wishlisting the units that you would like to save for yourself, to have the ability to be able to add that to your profile so that you can easily access what you're looking for, and then literally be able to go. And from this process onwards, you will literally go through to a checkout process where you'll put your details in, you'll pay your 10,000 Rand, and from there you will be into the stream in terms of being able to be sent your contract of sale. Our team will do the confirmation for you, and then thereafter, the whole process will happen for there. So it's a very, very slick and easy process. Live availability will happen as it happens. So every single unit that is sold will go live on the platform. And literally, I would highly, highly recommend that you literally decide on what unit you're looking for and spend the time and chat to the team and be ready to literally reserve that unit at 9 o'clock.
Yeah. Steph, if I could just add to that, I highly recommend that they wish list multiple units, just because on launch day, we don't want them to have only wish listed one unit, and then they find that they've had a lag in terms of wish listing another unit and then going to the checkout. So my suggestion is that you select multiple units that you're comfortable with. And if you have any issues at the payout gate, we will be on standby to assist you.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, exactly. And I think there's a chat function on the site, so that the team will be able to help you at any given point in time. And obviously, we really, really encourage any sort of one-on-one meetings that people want to have between now. I think the development team, the sales team have committed themselves to any one-on-ones and any engagements and any calls that guys want to make. It is super exciting. Like I said, we've seen it all in terms of new development launches, and this is one that has really, really excited us. And I think the way the market responded just gives you an indication. And it always is a thing. If you get in early, the benefits are exponential. So really, really looking forward to giving everyone an opportunity. I know there've been a lot of questions asked. I've tried to cover as many as possible, but impossible to get to all of them. But like we said, what we will be doing is we'll be circulating the recording of this tomorrow. And then between now and launch, you'll receive a series of mailers which talks about the information, making sure you've seen all the videos and any other sort of key elements and tips prior to launch itself. But we are super, super excited. Apologies to those of you who haven't answered your questions, but I encourage you, if you can see in the chat function, the sales team's details are there. Yeah, you can chat directly to them. If I maybe could ask the team just to sort of maybe just put in one of the sales team's cell phone number too, just so guys can WhatsApp them directly if they have any queries. But panel and guys, thanks so much for joining. I don't know if there's anything that any of you guys want to add that you feel is important, and then we'll wrap it up.
No.
I think we're looking forward to Saturday, and appreciate the attendance. So yeah, much appreciated.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah,
Great,
and
thank
thanks
you.
to everyone who's joined. I know everyone's schedules are really busy. We've had a resounding turnout, and really, really looking forward to the way forward. And thanks to the Radisson team, and thanks to Andrew, and and thanks to everyone who's had such a huge role in getting the product to where it is, which I think is something that is very unique and very special.
Great. Thanks a lot, Steph.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you very
Cheers,
much.
guys. Good evening.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
See you on Saturday.